Warm greetings from Silver Bay, and I hope where you might be that you are well. And thank you for being a part of what we're doing here at Silver Bay today. My name is Bruce Tamlyn, and I recently retired from my position as the chaplain. And I'm grateful that Silver Bay has invited me back in a very limited part-time way to offer programs like this one. Today, I'm in the library of Trinity House on the Silver Bay campus, and with me is Austin Porth, Silver Bay's digital marketing media specialist, who is filming this. Thank you, Austin. Today is the third in a series of offerings that are part of the program called Inside Silver Bay. And this series of programs will be aired twice a month. Each program will be between 20 and 30 minutes or so. And before I get into the specifics of today's program, I'd like us to just do a short centering experience. So let me suggest that you find a comfortable chair. I'm about to sit down in this chair right here, and we'll just do this centering activity to ground us and to prepare us for our session today. So let me suggest you find a comfortable chair where you are and allow yourself to just relax into the chair and just do a brief body scan. And what I mean by that is just maybe starting at your feet and just moving up your body slowly and seeing where you might be holding tension. A lot of times we hold tension in our body and we're not actually aware of it until we get in touch with that body part where we might be holding tension. So I suggest you just close your eyes and I'll talk you through this, and then we'll do a brief centering exercise that will ground us. So starting with your feet and your ankles and your lower leg, just slowly moving up your body and letting those parts of your body just relax, letting any tension go, allowing yourself to feel the support of the chair and the floor, sinking into the chair and letting your feet rest into the floor. And then moving up through your knees and your thighs, and then into your torso area, just letting go of any muscle tension that you feel. And then moving up through the middle of your body, your chest, and then your shoulders, and then down your arms, letting your arms just rest. And then just in your neck area, see if you're holding tension there, and just let that go. And then up into your head. And just coming to a relaxing space. And now the opportunity to just do a breathing exercise for a few minutes. A centering exercise where we just, in our mind's eye, focus on our breath. And so we feel ourselves inhaling and then exhaling. And that when we exhale, in your mind's eye, just to say a word, a comforting word like peace or joy or love, or any word that you would pick that would bring a sense of comfort and security to you. And so we're aware of our breathing in, taking in a breath, and then exhaling that breath. And as we exhale, again, we silently repeat our word. And then inhaling, and then exhaling, and saying our word. So let me just invite us to do this for a few minutes together. And if you find other thoughts coming into your mind, just acknowledge them for a moment and then let them go, and go back to focusing on your breath. I hope you feel a peacefulness coming over you, a gentleness, a quiet reverence that allows you to be in this moment, appreciating this moment. So a couple more breaths, inhaling and exhaling with our word. So let me suggest now that we come back and open our eyes, and let me just share a few thoughts about an experience like this. It's very simple, but I think in the kind of busyness of our everyday life, the opportunity to do a centering exercise, or sometimes we call it a spiritual practice. It might be prayer, it might be silent meditation, it might be yoga. Something that allows us to be in touch with the internal, the beauty that's within us, the opportunity to know that we are these beautiful spiritual beings, and that so much of our capacity to experience the joy of life begins inside of us. And when we're at peace, and when we're feeling centered and grounded, we're able to let go of anxiety and feel the presence of the beauty of the day, the beauty of what we're doing at that time. So oftentimes we can find ourselves being concerned or worried about what happened yesterday, or being concerned or anxious about tomorrow. And it's common for us to do that. So please don't offer self-judgment, but the opportunity to do a daily sort of centering exercise helps us focus on the present and to ground ourselves in the beauty of the moment now. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and each program will begin with this short centering exercise experience for us that way. And I hope that you might think about on a regular basis doing some kind of centering exercise that allows you to be in touch with the beauty that's within. So again, thank you for doing this with me now. So the series that we're doing as part of Inside Silver Bay, the title of the whole series is Making the Most of This Precious Life. Making the most of this precious life. Again, our life is a gift. This opportunity to live this life is a gift. Today is a gift. And that this series is about how to make the most of this gift that we've been given, this life we've been given. And I wanted to just read to you the last couple lines in a poem by Mary Oliver. The poem is called The Summer Day. It's a beautiful poem, and you could Google it and look up the whole poem. But the last couple of lines, Mary Oliver ends this poem with this: "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Let me read it again. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? I really enjoy that a lot. I enjoy Mary Oliver's poetry. But I think that line sort of relates to this idea of how do we make the most of this gift of life we've been given? And I hope what we do today in each of the programs supports you in your quality of life and coming to know your life as a gift and that you are a gift, and to live this life in such a way that we're able to make the most of this gift that we've been given. So today's program is on, the title I've given it is The 10 Core Ideas for Living a Centered, Joyful, and Contented Life. So I've come up with 10 core components. We're not going to do all 10 today. We'll probably get through 5 of them or so, and then we'll revisit the next 5 in a subsequent program. So these 10 core components, it's what I've come up with, and you could add to this list, of course. I don't have, these may not be your 10, but I offer these as suggestions as we're able to understand these 10 core components. I think our life can be enhanced. And I would be interested in your additions to this that way, and you're welcome to email me. My email is here, brucetamlyn@gmail.com. And again, I would be glad to hear your additions to this list, because again, this is not an exhaustive list. So as people of life, we are called and encouraged to be living an abundant life, a truly rich and full life, a life that is rich with an internal sense of contentment, a deep inner joy, a quiet, sacred peacefulness about our life. And achieving this kind of life requires, I believe, a commitment, a real intention, and focus. Our culture, the lives that we live in our culture, keeps offering us at times an overwhelming sense of we need to be doing more of this or that, or that we need to focus on this, or this is what's important. We're always bombarded with things from the outside that keep calling for our attention. And so out of that, oftentimes, we can develop anxiety and develop stress, and we start to live in a way that doesn't reflect the beauty of our souls, the beauty of our inner life. And so in this attempt to quell this kind of anxiety that we have, I think the idea of living these 10 core components will help us to do that. Writer Houston Smith, who's now passed on, but is one of the, was a professor for a long time on world religions, and many of his textbooks are still used in college and university settings. And Houston Smith actually came to Silver Bay many years ago to visit and lead a program, which many of us were thrilled to be a part of. But Houston Smith says this: "We are seldom in direct touch with," and then I put in, he says I'm substituting the abundant life. And he goes on to say, "And indeed, the modern world seems set on preventing us from getting in touch with it by covering it with entertainment, obsessions, and distractions of every sort," unquote. So again, these following suggestions, we'll do 5 today, I think will help us find a sense of contentment, and that we can live towards a greater wholeness in our life, a greater fullness in our life. And we often say, and one of our last programs was titled Living from the Inside Out. And so, like a homing pigeon seeking home, I think our souls yearn for the fullness and wholeness of the abundant life that is available to us. And so let me go through these 5 components. The first one is knowing that we are loved. Knowing that we are loved. And so I'd like to talk about this in sort of 2 different ways. First in a more secular way, and then in a more divine way. But in a secular way, to understand, and I think this is one of the beauties of Silver Bay, when we look at, and I'm looking out the window here at the library at Trinity House, looking onto the lake, and the beauty of the mountains beyond, one of the absolute beauties of Silver Bay, I think, reminds us of creation in such a marvelous way, and that creation keeps saying to us, yes, yes. Creation keeps saying to us the beauty of the trees and the lake and the mountains, yes, yes. You are whole, you are loved. And there's kind of this universal understanding of divine and universal love that comes to us. And I think it's not easy in our culture to learn to love ourselves, And so Paul Tillich, a theologian who's written much in his lifetime, is passed on now, but he said this once. He said, "You must accept that you are accepted. You must accept that you are accepted." And the idea there is that, can I accept that I'm acceptable, that I'm accepted, that I'm loved, that I'm valued, that my life has purpose and meaning that way? And so, from a more divine sense, there is this, a beautiful scripture in the good book that says, love your neighbor as yourself. And so the opportunity to love our neighbor, love those around us, as we would love ourselves. Now, I want to go into a little bit more of a challenging part to this, and this has to do with our upbringing. And I hope you had a good upbringing. I hope your caregivers, your parents, those that you were raised by, just loved you dearly, and celebrated your life, and raised you in a loving, caring home. Now, if that's your experience, I'm so glad for you. That's not everybody's experience. And so some of us have been raised in homes where that love wasn't as present as we would have liked it to be. Because one of the ways we learn self-love is that it's modeled for us by those that raised us. And so if you happen to have been born into a home where there wasn't maybe a lot of self-love in terms of your parents or caregivers that way, it might have detracted from your sense of self-love. And what I want to impart today is that, and I say this with all humility, but I really believe that you are loved by the universe, by a loving God, that you are loved. Now, we're not perfect. None of us are perfect. I'm not, none of us are. And we make mistakes and we have issues and life shows up, and that's part of life too. But underneath all of that is this profound sense that you are loved. And I really believe that to be so true. And that love is such a valuable thing for us to hold in our heart. Now, it doesn't mean we're conceited or that we're somehow better than other people. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about a deep inner sense of feeling loved. Eugene Peterson, author, a pastor and author, he has this line that I like a lot, and he said, in order to become a better person, become a deeper person. And I think there's a real truth to that. And when I say a deeper person, a person that knows deep, deep down in their soul that they are loved. And that love that we are held in is something that then we can give away to others. Because the idea that we have trouble giving something away if we don't have it. And so one of the goals that I think we have in life and how we might measure a life would be to say, have I developed the ability to really love others? And when I use that word love, I'm talking about romantic love and friendship love and family love and divine love. There's different loves. But have we developed the capacity to really love and also to really receive love? So this first of the 5 core components we're going to look at today is this capacity to know that we are loved. And part of the exercise we did a few minutes ago, the centering exercises, one of the things you can hold in your heart as you say a word, as you exhale, is love or self-love or I am loved. I am loved. So this first one again, knowing that you are loved. The second core component that we want to talk about today is implementing forgiveness. And I'm going to flip this up back to our title, the 10 core ideas. Again, we're going to look at 5 of them today. So the number 2 one is, I call it implementing forgiveness. There's 2 parts of this in the area of forgiveness. And the first is forgiveness of self, forgiving myself. And the second part is forgiving others. So let me talk about self-forgiveness first, because I think that's one of the hardest aspects of forgiveness to get. When I have a chance to do a seminar or a workshop for a group of people or a small group or a larger group, I'll often say in the group, especially if it's a larger group, I'll say, how many of us here today feel like we may have done something in our life that we just have trouble forgiving ourselves for, that we're still holding on to this? And I'll say, anybody willing to just sort of raise their hand? We're not going to talk about it, but just, you'd be surprised at the number of hands that go up, that we're carrying around things that we, for some reason, haven't been able to forgive ourselves for. And I've had that in my own life at times. So this first step is, can I really forgive myself? And I want to share with you that if you truly believe in your heart that you've forgiven yourself, those of you that are faith-based through a communion service where you're seeking forgiveness, or those of you that are more secular, either when there's no judgment there, but to really believe deep down in your heart that you are forgiven, I truly believe you are forgiven, and you can let that go and not continue to carry this around, detracting from your day-to-day life experience because somehow you think that you're not that good, or that you did something that is so bad or so difficult that you just can't forgive yourself for. I just want to share with you that I hope that when we're talking about this today, that you can let it go and forgive yourself. Because I know deep down inside you can do that and not have it detract from your life. So this forgiveness of self, let me ask a difficult question or talk about a difficult concept of this is, if we're not able to let it go, then I think we have to ask ourselves the question, how is it serving me to hang on to it? How is it serving me to not let this go? And sometimes that can help us figure out why we're not able to let it go. So, forgiving ourselves and now forgiving others. I think it's true for all of us that we've either been slighted, or we've been left out, or we were rejected, or we were betrayed, or we were forgotten, or somehow hurt by others at times. It's happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to you. I know these are painful moments and painful experiences, especially things like a divorce or things where we really felt we were let down by somebody in a very powerful way. Now, what I'm going to share about them is that yes, very painful for us, but it's also an opportunity for us to then move forward in our life by forgiving others. And that, again, not easy to do, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time at times to be able to forgive. But I do hope at some point in time you're able to forgive those around you for maybe something they did to you. Because again, by holding on to it, we're just detracting from our own life. And so, again, to ask ourselves the question, if I can't forgive myself, if I can't forgive another, how is that serving me? How is that somehow justifying me or whatever? So, whether through a prayer, or whether through a thought, or whether journaling, somehow to be able to forgive yourself and to forgive others is an important component to living a centered, peaceful, joyful life. And I would just add one more thing to this, that my suggestion is to find somebody that you trust, somebody that might be trained, somebody that might have some background in theology or psychology or in some way that you could talk to about this in a very confidential way, and be able to have them hear what you can't forgive and help you work through that over time. So again, this second component is forgiving ourselves and forgiving others. The third component is a fairly simple one, but I think a very important one, and that is, I call it caring for the body. Caring for our body. These bodies are sacred. These bodies your body is beautiful. It was created just for you in that way. And so caring for our body, often I go to enjoy the YMCA sort of mantra, spirit, mind, and body, healthy spirit, mind, and body. And so just to think about those four, I'm going to add one more to it, but the idea of these four components of taking care of our body. The first one I want to just talk about is I speak about it as healthy, conscious eating, and eating in a way that really supports our body. Sometimes this is maybe overstated, but I like to think of food as medicine. Food is actually something to nurture our body and bring nutrition to our body that way. food as nourishment rather than thinking about food as entertainment. Because I think sometimes we think about food as entertainment, or we use food to meet a lot of times our emotional needs, not our physical needs, and to be able to sort that out. What are my emotional needs? Why am I eating now? I'm not hungry, but I'm eating around emotional issues that way. And again, to find somebody that might help you with this, a nutritionist or somebody that you can talk to if you find food as being an issue for you. There have been some authors, Janine Roth is one that has some a little bit older books, but one of her books is called Food is Love, When Food is Love. And so again, how do we take care of our bodies by eating in a nutritional way? Number two, and studies keep coming out about this all the time. I read one the other day. Americans don't get enough sleep. And then they went into all the statistics about it. I think it's true. A lot of times I don't get enough sleep that way. But I think sleep is so important for us. It does so many things for us health-wise. It supports our immune system. It supports our psychological health. It supports our physical health. Getting sufficient sleep, I think, is so important. One of the things that I find when I talk with people about sleep issues is that, well, they're afraid they're going to miss something, or, you know, they need to stay up late because this is going to happen or this is going to happen. And I'm not saying every night and whatever, but overall getting enough sleep that allows our bodies to feel healthy that way. Number three is exercise. And before you start some exercise program, I would just have you check with your medical professional to make sure that your body's in a good place to start some sort of exercise, and to work with somebody who can help you as a trainer, somebody at a YMCA or somebody at a gym or whatever, after you've been medically cleared to exercise, to work with somebody if you don't find yourself doing it on your own. And lots of trainers out there, and they're great and they're encouraging, and I would really encourage you. I mean, at our own gym at Silver Bay, a couple people down there that are willing to help out in terms of getting exercise. And the fourth thing I want to talk about, I talk about it as our human connection, our social connection. We are social beings. We need to be with one another. We need to be with people. Now, some of us are more extroverted and some of us are more introverted, but a good, healthy sort of spirit, mind, body likes to connect with people and to be with people and socialize with people that way. It's one of the beauties of Silver Bay, is we come together as a community, all ages, and we have an opportunity to be with one another. So this social connection is important for us. So taking care of our body, again, taking care of our mind, taking care of our spirit. Let me talk about taking care of our mind for a second. I like the concept of boundaries, having good boundaries around your mind. Don't expose yourselves to things that would come into your mind that are just troubling, that are scenes in movies or some sort of social media or whatever, that just exposes yourself to things that are not healthy for us that way. And they're out there. They're all over the place. And so thinking about what supports my mind, what supports my health in terms of what I expose myself to and what I allow to come into my space, my mind and my body that way. And then healthy mind, body, spirit, again, our centering exercise, to have a good opportunity to nurture our spirit, our mind, and our body through some sort of daily centering experience, some sort of way of grounding ourselves. I think that's important. And to close out this section on body, I'd like this line. It says, treat your body like it belongs to someone you really love. Treat your body like it belongs to somebody you really love, which of course connects us to our first one, the ability to love ourselves. So that's care of the body. The fourth one we're going to talk about is being humble, humility. There's such an interesting concept, an interesting word, this word humility, and the word humility comes from the word humus, which is earth. The earth means earth, humus, and it's like we're grounded. We're grounded. We have a humility about us. There's an inner security that serves us, to helps us feel whole, and it helps us feel adequate, and helps us feel okay. That we don't have to keep proving ourselves or showing off or acting out or being praised or acquiring more things to prove that we're worthy, or to put others down, to elevate ourselves, to be boastful or whatever. Those are not necessary when we have a good sense of ourself. And a good sense of that ourself allows us to feel a sense of humility. We're secure in who we are, and we're whole in who we are, and we don't have to brag about ourselves or puff ourselves up or whatever. So humility, it's kind of a quiet reverence about us and about life, a quiet reverence about our own humility. And so when we live with humility, there's nothing to hide, there's no need to pretend, there's no need to exaggerate. We can be who we really are in all of our humility. It's a grounded sense of self that allows us to live with an inner contentment. So I think humility, again, this fourth one, when we think about 10 core components for living a centered and grounded and joyful life. And the fifth one I want to speak about is being of service. Being of service. I think something happens to us, we're in the service of others, in the service of something greater than ourselves, that we use our talent, our time, and our treasure in a way that allows others around us to experience life and have a life that is enhanced by our service. And I do want to read a quote to you from Albert Schweitzer. Albert Schweitzer, a medical doctor who established medical missions in Africa. He lived between 1875 and died in 1965, 90 years old. And he said this about service. Again, from Albert Schweitzer. I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I do know. The only ones among you who will be really happy are those who have sought and found how to serve. Again, let me read the core part of it again. The only ones among you who will be really happy are those who have found and sought how to serve. Boy, our service to others that way. I think there's a joy that comes about when we can share our gifts, share our abilities, and serve others that way. It comes out of our humility. How can I help you? Or what can I do to support you? Or how can I be helpful to you that way? I was listening to a story on the radio the other day of a woman who delivers Meals on Wheels in her community. And I know people who deliver Meals on Wheels in our community here. And when I talked with them and I heard this woman, they were just sharing what joy it is to be able to bring a meal to somebody who is shut in and bring that meal and have a chance to visit with them a bit. Just the joy that they felt in their heart that way. And so to be conscious in our life of those around us who could be served, who we could serve, and whom we could help that way. In the end, a lot of times when we think about serving others, I ask the question, who's serving who? You know, when I have the opportunity through my work at Silver Bay to serve someone in some way, I always receive more than what I'm giving. So I often say, who's serving who here? And so this opportunity to serve one another, I think, is such an important element in living this joyful life that way. And it's the fifth component we're talking about this morning. So these are the 5 components we're going to start with in this session. We will visit the next 5 components in a future session. But I hope this has been helpful for you this morning. And so thank you for being with us, and boy, blessings to you, and may you continue to deepen in your life journey and continue to know the wholeness and the fullness and the gift of this life that we've been given. Thank you.